Hello everybody. So, like I said in my previous video, I am going to make a video about my princess audition for Disney. Woo! First, I will tell you that no, I did not make it through. I am not friends with a Disney princess. How I found out about the audition was through their website online. It's called DisneyAuditions.com, I believe. I'll post the link below, but it has a list of all the upcoming auditions, and it gives a description of what they're looking for, which includes the height ranges, if it's character performers, lookalikes, parade dancers, singers, whatever it may be that they're looking for is going to be listed on there. So you find an audition on that page that suits you, and it tells you the date, the time, and then you just show up to the location and you go. My location was at Disney's Animal Kingdom rehearsal facility in, of course, Walt Disney World, Florida. I decided to go on vacation there for this. I was kind of planning on going anyway, and then I heard about the audition and I'm like, okay, that's a sign that I need to go. So me, my mom, and my sister went. My audition, I believe, was on a Thursday. I could be wrong, and it was at 7 at night. I got to the audition. It says don't show up more than a half an hour before the start time, and girls were already lined up when I got there, and it was about 45 minutes to. So I'm like, well, I'm just gonna go and I'm gonna stand in line with those other girls. So I got in line, I got my number, and I believe I was either in the very end of the 200s or I was in the 300s. Actually, I believe I was 365, and I was 45 minutes early. So I knew it was only going to go up from there. I got in line. I was next to a girl who was auditioning more for being friends with Jasmine, and then there was a girl behind me that could be friends with Aurora or Cinderella, like what I was auditioning for. You stand in line for a little while. Once you get through, you keep going. They give you your number, and they tell you the website where you'll go and you'll check in or sign in for the audition. On that website, I believe you just put your basic information, your contact information, and that's it. So after that, they start calling you by groups, and it depends how many people are at your audition, if they do groups, or how many people are in your group. So I was at a really big audition, and it's not unheard of for it to get to this size, especially when it's characters that are very popular and prestigious. So mine had over 700 people, because it was for Friends with Jasmine, Friends with Cinderella, Friends with Aurora. So there was quite a few people there, and the groups were split up between 50 to 100 people. I was in the third group to go through, and there was about, I think, 75 of us. 80. There was 80 of us. They lined us up in rows of 10, and I was in the front row with, of course, 9 other girls, and the directors were in front of us. When they start off, they just kind of give a little overview about how this first cut is gonna go. Basically what we did was we all just stood in line, they played music, and we smiled and could talk to each other while the casting director stared at us and decided who they wanted to keep. So while they were doing that, they do look at each person. They will kind of like look at you, like side glance and whisper stuff to one of the other casting directors. Sometimes they'll point. It's not bad at all. They're super nice, but you just want to know what they're talking about. After about a minute of that, then the groups rotate and you go to the back, and then the next one goes up. So you just keep doing that until you get back up to where you started. How they did my group was they picked one person from each line to go through to the next stage, and everybody else was cut. So there was about, I don't even think they picked one from each. There was about 5 to 8 girls that made it through out of 80 people. I was not one of them, but the girl standing right next to me was. She, of course, looked just like a character, like, so good for her. She was super nice, and I wish I knew where she made it to, or she made it all the way through. But they're really looking for if you look like the cartoon character. I don't know exactly what the specific things they're specifically looking for, and it's hard to tell too when it's for different characters to be friends with, so it's hard to judge how they pick per se. Of course, there are some people that just don't fit the type, and this cut's also known as type out, so that's where quite a few people get cut and they don't move on to the next rounds. The next rounds are typically animation and a small dance number, and if you make it through that, then I believe that you get to try on some costumes and possibly makeup, but I'm not exactly sure that it's that way on every audition, but from what I've heard, that's what it is. I made it not even through the first round, and I would still go back and I would try it again. The casting directors say if you don't make it through this time, that's okay, keep coming back, because they're always looking for different people to come in and different characters and different needs. They're very nice. They probably just think I'm ugly. Just kidding. They're very nice and they encourage you to go through if they think you aren't material to be friends with a princess this time. Some people say that you should bring a headshot and a resume. I did bring them with, but they weren't asked for. I don't know if they did later on in the audition, but I wouldn't say that they're necessary unless it says specifically on the Disney Auditions website that you should bring one. So if I were you, if I were traveling from far away and they would get bent, maybe don't worry about it, but I think it's always good to be prepared too. So that's just a personal preference. And then for the clothing that I wore, I just wore leggings with a quarter-length shirt that was pink. And then other girls just kind of wore the same thing, like yoga pants and leggings. Tennis shoes, you don't want to wear heels because, like I said, if you make it through, you could be dancing. You don't want to put on a lot of makeup because if you do make it through to the very end, they put makeup on you and it's easier for them to tell if they can transform you into the character. I've heard if you made it through and you have a whole bunch of makeup, they don't take off the pre-existing makeup that you have on. They just put theirs on top of yours. So it's better to go natural as well. You don't want to dress as a character. It says that on the audition site too, on some of them, of course. And I would suggest maybe not wearing a dress just because of the things that you might be asked to do in the animation round. So I would just wear more workout type clothing, but something that shows off your figure because they're also looking for specific sizes too. They don't say the sizes, but they want to have an idea if they think that you will be able to fit into the costumes that they have available. So that's kind of how that went. If I do ever get the opportunity to go to another audition, I think I would. I wouldn't go to any dancing or singing one because I am just not inclined in that way. But the lookalike auditions to be friends with a princess are very fun. People that were around me were mostly Jasmine, except for the girl right next to me. She was going for the same thing as me, and she just had the look. It's hard to say. I think in my group, they kind of did it differently than I've heard from other videos where they just pick, like, not from line to line, they just pick overall in the whole group. So mine was a little different from what I've heard on videos, how they picked one from each line instead of just the whole group. So that was different, but okay. At least now I have a better understanding of what to expect, and to expect that 700 people could show up, especially at the Orlando or the California auditions. Some of them that I watched online said about 150 to 300 came, so I was expecting more in that range till, of course, I showed up and over 700 people were there. It's kind of overwhelming. When you first walk in and you get your number, nobody was really turned away, at least that I saw. There was women definitely older than 30 years old there, and there was girls taller than the height range and way shorter than the height range too. Something different about my audition was there was a Friends with Alice audition right before ours. So as we were all waiting for our turn to go through and go through the cuts, there was a whole bunch of people that got cut from the Alice audition that walked through. So that was kind of intimidating too, just seeing how many people were leaving. It was just kind of intimidating to see how many people who were trying to be her friend got cut, because it was a crazy amount of people. It's a super fun time. I encourage you to do it. And like I said, just go to the link that is in the description of this video and go there. If you want to know more about my Disney life and follow my vlog on my Disney College program, please hit subscribe so you can see all of those great videos. Anyway, thank you all for watching, and I hope you have the most magical day ever. Bye. Some tips. Maybe when you're sitting in line and you are talking to the other girls next to you, try not to get the double chin going when you're talking, and try to look elegant instead of like a nervous wreck, because that's what I did.